This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and we're brought to you by the Verdoliak Law Group, fighting insurance companies since 1963, and BetChicago.com, your source for all of Chicago's sports and betting news.
This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Trubisky's not a loser. And me coming over to Trubisky, here's what I'm going to tell the people. To say, oh, it's about time you came over, and I knew it all up. You're all morons who love Cutler. A guy that dresses up like Mike Ditka before a game, that's probably what turned to me that he understands the tradition of the Bears. If Jay Cutler would have been everything this guy is, he would have probably gone to the playoffs 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But I fully expect Trubisky to keep getting better because he gives a damn. And I think that's 90% of the band. Don't you like when I just shut people down and I make a reasonable argument? That's what debate's all about. That's what it's all about. I hate that song. The hokey pokey sucks. Let's just go on. Put your left foot in. I don't like nobody telling me what to do when I'm dancing. You put your left foot in. I'm going. Nagy understands the division. Wants that. Trestman. Fox. They wouldn't understand Bear tradition if it hit them in the ass. So Matt Nagy has instilled that into the players, and I love it. This Trubisky kid with Nagy is the right marriage, and I'm going to give Ryan Pace and everybody from Ted Phillips on down a little pat on the back.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right, the Mike North Advantage begins right now. My name is Aldo Gandia. I am Mike's wingman, and we have quite the show for you today as the Chicago Bears are traveling to New Jersey to take on the New York Giants and try to improve to 9-3. We'll talk about last night's upset by the Dallas Cowboys over the New Orleans Saints. We'll get Mike's picks for the week and talk about the Beat Mike North contest. Mike North, I've entered both weeks. The contest has been active and I've yet to beat you, but then again, I didn't expect to. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Aldo. 4-2 last week in the Bet Chicago contest. You know what? A lot of people, had issues. What are you going to do? You can't. You go up against the Bambino. These things are going to happen. Okay? 7-8 in the Chicago Sun-Times, 89, 78-9 overall for the year against the spread. Still running the show there. Also 1-3 in my Bears Barroom picks, 30-16-2. But Mark Potash was 1-3 in the Sun-Times, where we also have those picks, which is 26-21-1. And then Sylvie was 2-2. Mark Silverman, which makes him 20-27-1. So it's been a up and down roller coaster of late. But I have hope for everybody because when I was on my 18-1 historical run, which I think Aldo says, besides landing on the moon, one of the greatest feats of all time, a big step for mankind, if you want to know the truth, going 18-1. I didn't win a Thursday night game. I lost. I was like 1-4, and I went on that run. And then I started winning the Thursday night games, and then I've been up and down around 500. Well, guess what happened last night, folks? Myself, Mark Potash, and, of course, Mark Silverman, we all took the Saints. I think all of America took the Saints.
Yep.
I don't want to hear Vegas crying about what happened last night because I know this. They could build 15 hotels on what was bet last night because I think everybody, for the most part, took the Saints at -7 against the Cowboys. So it's been crazy, but I like the fact they lost on Thursday. I'm ready to go on a run.
You are ready to go on a run. Now, let me tell you.
I'm dizzy. I'm dizzy already. I got a dizzy spell just now. I feel like Ruth Bader Ginsburg right now. Give me the rocket chair.
Watch your ribs. Watch your ribs.
Watch my ribs. I got the protection pad on.
Now, let me ask you, do you, Mark Potash and Mark Silverman, have a little side bet going on with this Sun-Times contest? Because if
you know what? Maybe next year we will. Mm-hmm. But if I had, I would have been losing my butt the last couple of years because they would have been cleaning up. This year's been unknown territory for me. For anybody, even Mark. Mark finally had an off week, but he had been on the last 3 weeks, and he has cut my deficit down to 4. I got a 4-game lead on the best bets, but he's 84, 83-9, and I'm 89, 78-9. That's tough. That's pretty good picking the board above 500. And Mark Silverman last week goes 8-7. Mm-hmm. So you know what? I mean, we're having a good year. But maybe next year that makes it more interesting. But I think it's the pride factor.
Well, I'll tell you, also having a good year, the New Orleans Saints, but as you mentioned, they were upset by the Dallas Cowboys yesterday, and that defense of the Dallas Cowboys was very, very impressive. I mean, you're talking about a New Orleans Saints team that during their 10-game winning streak was scoring 43, 33, 43, 24, 30, 45, 51, 48, 31 points, and then last night they can only manage 10 points. What the heck happened?
Well, we saw what kind of coach Sean Payton is if Breeze is having an off night, didn't we? I mean, it was 10-0, and he decides to go for it on fourth down from about the 3-yard line to try to get a first or a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of kicking the field goal, what was the final score of that game?
13-10,
right?
Yep.
If he kicks the field goal to go 10-3, they have a tie game. They go into overtime last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I placed, first of all, the blame on Sean Payton. Horrible coach game last night. When your quarterback's off, you have to recognize it. Now, for gamblers, for the public, and for the people that lost last night, there's no doubt that I saw it on Twitter today. Some guy said, I'm a Dallas fan. I think the game was fixed because Drew Brees has been so great and because that team has been so on. But they were, in my world, they were due for a stinker, but my system said you got to take the Saints. So give credit to the Dallas Cowboys, like you said. Drew Brees had a bad game on a national stage, which I think ushers in Patrick Mahomes now to maybe have a shot at MVP because I think it was Brees hands down before last night, but he crapped the bed. Period. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen him have a game like that. So kudos to Dallas. Shame on Sean Payton. I don't know what analytics people say. I don't care what they say. Here's what I know. They're not always right either. And I want to know the analytics guy that says with about 5 minutes left in the first quarter, you should not kick a field goal when you're down 10.
I hear you 100%.
That was good, wasn't it?
That was.
That was like a breakdown by like Pop Warner. You know what I mean?
Newt Rodney.
Just saying. Of course, he's in the grave rotting, but that's beside the point.
We saw a defense play in what is it, almost December now, and that gives me hope for this Chicago Bears team in the postseason that they could go far because defenses are what win games in December and January. You agree?
I agree. And here's another thing. I want to thank both teams for last night bringing the NFL back to a place that I like. That game was riveting. You didn't need 54-51. You know what I mean? And, we had been worried, and I think legitimately so, and not just me, players in the league and everybody else, about the amount of points being scored. But we saw a playoff-type game last night, and we saw what happens in the playoffs to very good quarterbacks and to teams. And, they couldn't run the ball. Dallas only gained 100 yards. I think what's really shameful with the new rules is that guys like Dak Prescott go 25 for 29. Phillip Rivers last week goes 28 of 29. I mean, you would have never seen that in the old days. And when I say old days, 10 years ago. I mean, it's ridiculous, the high percentages. Breeze was 76%. If that doesn't tell you about how the passing rules have changed the game, nothing will.
Yeah, it's almost like it's the steroid era of baseball has been transferred over to quarterbacks in the NFL.
Point.
Yeah. So, all right, I want to talk about.
I think that's your first good point in 3 weeks. Let me mark this down. Hold on, Aldo.
3 weeks?
Because your name is Aldo Gandia.
3 weeks? I was going to say ever. First good point on the Mike North Advantage show.
You've been kicking ass lately, all kidding aside. Didn't mean to. I know you're sensitive. I'm sensitive. We say we're not sensitive, and then we hang up and we weep.
Yes, exactly. I listen to the show to see how we did, and then I smile when you talk, and then when I start talking, I start weeping. I go, oh, man.
Let me tell you something. When I saw my picks last week, I started weeping about 3:30.
That is great.
But you got to have a sense of humor. I mean, after all, I am 30-16-2. You know anybody else that good?
No.
No, they'll tell you they are. They may think they are, but we're documented every single week. The eye is on us.
That's
and I ain't talking about the eye of CBS, the public eye.
Public eye. I love it. All right, I want to play a little clip of Rashard Coward. He was on one of our shows, Bears 100 Proof, and he was talking about Mitch Trubisky, who I know you now are a huge fan of. And I thought you would get a kick out of what he said about Trubisky, who is not going to play this Sunday against the Giants unless some miracle happens. But nonetheless, I wanted to play this just to get your reaction.
You got swag. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Mitch got it, man. Mitch got it. Mitch is the man. He's a great person. Like, he is. He always look out for you, and he's competitive. Like, competitive. That's what you want in a quarterback. He's competitive and make sure to put us in a good position to win. You know, everybody.
Isn't that great? You know how he's talking about his quarterback, that he's got swag and he's just got all this confidence. That's what you want your teammates to think of you if you're the quarterback, right?
Exactly the opposite of what they thought of the guy before.
Yeah.
That's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said character matters in your leader. Mm-hmm. And the kid's got character as far as wanting to win, wanting to play. I think that it's still a mystery to me what happened. We can't get a time frame of when he actually. I know they're talking about the Harrison hit, which looks like that was when it happened. But there's no doubt in my mind there's a tear, a small tear, something.
Yeah.
Why is he sitting? I mean, 1 week I can see. Maybe it's something little that doesn't need surgery. I don't know. But I don't think it's anything to be concerned about overall. But you have a stud who was having a pretty damn good season, and now we've put the brakes on. Now we could say we're being cautious. Well, yeah, because he still might be hurt.
Right. The fact
so what I want to know is, what is the actual prognosis? Because the Bear media, don't have the stones to try to figure out or to ask him, is there a tear? Is there something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, if we don't see him next week, what are we going to think?
Right. The fact that he has not thrown.
Then this will be pertinent, what we're having this discussion right now about maybe there's a minor something going on.
Yep.
Maybe.
Totally agree with you. When I read that he still has not thrown in practice.
Absolutely.
I'm like, what? That's scary.
That's middle of the week after, you've had a long layoff. I mean, it's all, he's supposed to be, he got hit, they kept him in, they screwed up, and they're trying to now pretend that it's just a minor thing. Well, that's fine, but my God, if it's just a shoulder soreness, most quarterbacks play with that. So if it's something else, we'll find out, because sooner or later, if he don't play next week, then the crap hits the fan a little bit.
Mike, let's do a little.
God, wait, let me write this down the time so I can put it on Twitter later.
13 minutes past.
All right, go ahead.
Let's do a little role playing here. I'm Matt Nagy.
I love role play, but only in the evenings. But that's fine. We'll try something different.
Oh, gosh, the pictures.
I was an Indian chief the other night.
Woohoo!
Yeah. We were having Thanksgiving.
I'm Matt Nagy at a press conference. You are in the media room, and I say this about Mitch Trubisky, and then you got the follow-up question. Well, Mitch is day-to-day, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Why is that all you're going to say about it? Why can't you tell us what's wrong with it?
Well, Mike, I appreciate
what's wrong with them. Why are you guys carrying this like he's got something worse than he does? Then I'd be escorted out and they'd lose my press pass.
That's exactly right.
My God. There's a reason for things. Believe me, I asked believe me when I tell you this. Anybody stops Ted Phillips on the street and asks him, who was the biggest pain in the ass, and who was the guy that made you sweat when he asked questions? If he doesn't say me, he's lying.
Yeah.
And that's the question that's got to be asked every single day of anybody on their podium about a quarterback that's starting to turn the corner, and all of a sudden the brakes have been put on. I'm just telling you how I feel with my gut as a Bear fan and as a guy that's been observing sports and paid a lot of money for a lot of years to do it. So I just have an issue right now with the fact that, this is a big kid. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think his record's 11-11 overall. We're starting to make strides, but it also tells you, in a way, that the Chicago Bears are good enough to win without him. because we won last week without him. And I feel good about Chase Daniel. And if you remember, I said it in preseason. I thought he was as good as Trubisky, and I've been proved right so far. I'm not saying he's going to end up being the finish. He's never going to be what Trubisky could end up being. But when people gave me crap about him being as good as Trubisky, they're in no hurry. Maybe they want to make sure he's 100%, but they know they got a great chance to win with Chase Daniel.
Well, and I was going to pull this soundbite from the offensive coordinator, Mark Helfrich, but I knew it was going to put you to sleep because the guy.
Well, if you want to play it, go ahead. No. I got up early this morning. You know me; I'm on Twitter early. Maybe I take a little bit of a cat nap,
a little siesta.
Yeah, that's all. And then you ring a bell. That's all.
Well, I'll just paraphrase what he said. He said that Chase Daniel knows this playbook so well and the offensive system that they run so well that he comes back to the sideline and he participates like a coach, whereas with Mitch, he's still learning and he's still absorbing, whereas with Chase Daniel, it's more of coach. Exactly.
I don't care who's saying it. You or him, I understand. He's basically saying what we just said, isn't he?
Yes.
Here's what Dad's telling me. We feel great with Chase Daniel, quarterback.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, exactly.
I mean, if Watson, if my guy, and by the way, can I just revisit something? I love how everybody is on the Trubisky bandwagon. And the last time he played a heck of a game. I thought. Played a decent game. Fine. But I don't want anybody to forget that he was taken before Mahomes and Watson. And where those two teams are with them at quarterback right now. Don't forget that when you get on Twitter and get cocky. Please. Don't.
All right, so
because look at those two teams.
Let me ask you this: you
move away from that little subject.
No. If you had a redraft, who would you pick of those three quarterbacks, Watson or Trubisky?
I stick to my guns. I loved Watson. Here's another thing: I take Watson, Mahomes. I wouldn't have taken Mahomes. I'm not going to lie to people. But you liked him.
I loved him.
So it's funny. I liked Watson. You liked Mahomes. Yeah. The two hosts of the Bear Show, and I love the way Mitch is playing. But he's not playing as good as they are.
Yeah, I think he's much closer to Watson than he is Mahomes. But a double A Ron from Chicago in the chat room says Chase Daniel is better. Chase Daniel is better than Dak Prescott. You agree?
So Dak Prescott put on a show last night. He was 25 for 29. Look, everybody was burying them. They're playing great. Their defense is clicking. I disagree. Chase Daniel could crap the bed Sunday, and guess what? Then we're going to find out how Trubisky is. But see, here's what the Bears have been doing, folks. And congratulations to everybody who have the over, because they got the over for victories this year. To all the guys, David Kaplan, everybody that took it. I didn't think they'd do it. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If they don't win Sunday, then we're going to find out about Trubisky. But they've been fooling Vegas all year long. They've been covering the spread every week. And I've been picking against them every week. They're a big part of me having the record I have. Even though it's a good record, it would even be better if I had picked against the Bears. But as my friend Aldo Gandia knows, that was my plan. I'm going to pick against them this week probably too. I don't know yet. I'm not going to let on. But when I pick against them, they win, don't they?
Yep. Very true. Very true.
I keep the excitement down, please. I'm going to throw a firecracker your way. Arlington, I'm going to wake up the whole neighborhood in Arlington. My God.
I was just sending out.
Try to stay with me, will you?
I was just sending out a tweet letting people know, hey, Mike is about to make his picks in 10 minutes, and then you asked me a question.
I know. You know what? It's funny. I'm telling you through the earpiece, and you're tweeting, and I guess you go deaf when you start tweeting. This is what makes this show great, folks. It's quirky, it's entertainment, and it's awesome.
And I mess up a lot.
No, you don't. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a show. So let's just move on. I don't want your head to get too big where you can't get through the door.
That's right. All right. Talking about guys who have too big of a head, how about Odell Beckham Jr.? That guy, the wide receiver for the Giants, I mean, that guy is quite the personality, but no matter what he is like off the field, on the sidelines and so forth, he's a heck of a player. And Vic Fangio was asked, what do you think about, what have you told your players about guarding Odell Beckham? And this is what Vic Fangio said.
On the mass on Saturday night. He's really good. You know, the guy's a tremendous athlete and great ball skills, as everybody knows. Really good.
Do you go to mass on Saturday night?
I do.
Do you say a prayer about the opponents?
I do. I do.
All right, so my question for you is, before you make your picks, do you go to mass, Mike?
I told you I have a chapel. I think Vic Fangio, we brought this up 3 weeks ago. I thought the Bears were going to lose a game. I said, I hope they have a chapel in the locker room. and maybe they listen to Bears Bar Room. Maybe they listen to the Mike North Advantage. But that he just says the right things. I will tell you this. There's a lot of receivers I'd be more concerned about than Odell Beckham right now, because they don't have the overall team, and there's going to be double teaming, on him. Sometimes you play him up man to man. You play zone. You change things up on Eli Manning. I think I'm more of a concerned about Barkley.
Yes.
And he also said the same type of thing about Barkley.
Yes.
So I guess you got a advantage with Eli Manning. And what I mean is, we're pretty healthy on the defensive line, and there is no doubt that Akeem Hicks and all the other guys, and Khalil Mack and Fuller and all those guys, are excited about the fact that they're playing a statue for a quarterback, that he can't get away. It's not like you're playing like Mahomes or you're playing Watson or Aaron Rodgers or any of these guys that get away. Eli is a old school pocket quarterback. That's the way they were taught by their dad, and at least you know where he's going to be. So I think it's going to be tough for the Giants.
Hey, Mike, I know enough about you that when you played sports, you liked to trash talk, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's say let's say you are guarding Odell Beckham, and he's the type of player, this guy has proven that you can get into his head. He gets frustrated. What are some of the things you would be telling him to frustrate him?
Oh, no, it's Odell. I'm scared. Hey, where'd you get your hair done? You know what I mean? Who does a double dye job? You don't even do that at a beauty shop, my friend. Come on now. I mean, there's just stuff like that. Right off the top of my head. Hey, I like how you question the play calling, unless it's thrown to you. Because he's a pain in the ass on that team. They will never win with that guy, ever.
You think so?
He is a pain in the ass. He's questioning the play calling, all this nonsense. As soon as he signed for big money, he took a shot at Eli Manning. He's a tool in my world. But I'm terrified of the running back, Saquon Barkley. I'm terrified of him. And I think they made the right move. People were questioning, why didn't they take a quarterback? What, Sam Darnold? Or somebody like that? Look, the kid's going to be a stud for years to come, barring injury, because of the shelf life of a running back. That's the guy I fear. Odell Beckham's going to get his catches, but I got enough faith in our defensive backs. They can stop that big mouth.
Are you still predicting Russell Wilson to go to the Giants next season?
No, you know what? Here's what I'd like to see. I changed up. You know me, Mr. Change-Up Artist. It's not flip-flopping.
No, not at all.
It's not flip-flopping. It's as the season progresses.
Right.
Here's what I'd really like to see happen, and I'd be curious how the fan bases would react. I'd like to see Green Bay trade Aaron Rodgers to Seattle for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson played at Wisconsin, kicked everybody's ass after he had been at North Carolina. He's just as good as Aaron Rodgers, only the broadcasters from the mainstream media don't cry for him. Let me ask you a question, Aldo. Who's lost a lot of guys? Aaron Rodgers, right? We talk about it.
Sure.
You don't see the running backs they used to have, Lacey, and you don't see Jordy Nelson or any of the speed back wide receivers. They got a whole new team, right?
Right.
Okay, so we hear it every week. Poor Aaron Rodgers. He's lost this, he's lost that. Let me ask you something. How come nobody cries for Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
He lost Marshawn Lynch. They lost Richard Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost a ton of guys.
Right.
They've lost a ton of guys from that Super Bowl team.
Right.
How come nobody ever cries for him? And he's won one Super Bowl just like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, you can make the
This
argument.
is stuff you can't get from mainstream radio or anywhere in the world.
That's right. Well, you can make the argument that Russell has never really had the kind of weapons that Aaron Rodgers has had.
Absolutely not.
Man.
I'm sorry. I guarantee you, Green Bay Packer fans are smart. I think there's people, and I've heard some podcasts. In fact, we played a guy on our show here. They're tired of him.
Mm-hmm.
They're tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that I think in Green Bay that if you got Russell Wilson would be happy about it. Because I love Russell Wilson. I love him. Hey, look how good they're doing now. They don't have nobody on that team.
Yep.
Who do they got? Doug Baldwin, a couple other guys? They don't have the name guys they used to have for the most part. And those name guys they do have, especially on defense, are older now.
Yeah. I agree 100% there.
Come on, man. I'd love to see Russell Wilson on Green Bay. And Rodgers, he'd have a new beginning over there because I don't know what's going to happen in Green Bay. I don't think you can blame McCarthy or Rodgers. I've said if you're gonna separate them, then separate them. But together, I've always liked them. I just think they need more talent.
Ben Alexandra in the chat room says that Pete Carroll is a better coach than Mike McCarthy. You agree?
Oh, yeah. I think he is. But Pete Carroll isn't as good a coach now since some of the guys have left, is he? Is he better now that Richard Sherman's gone? Is he better now that Marshawn Lynch is gone? Are they better now that they've lost a lot of the players and they've gotten older? They're still in contention. Mm-hmm. Where are they consistent at quarterback? Would he help Aaron Rodgers? Hey, I think Aaron Rodgers with McCarthy. I think Russell Wilson with McCarthy would perform. Mm-hmm. I think Aaron Rodgers with Pete Carroll would perform. But I think Pete Carroll is as good a coach. But don't forget, they both been to a Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
They both got a win, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is Bill Belichick the best?
Break it down as good as anybody, right? In the tri-state area,
nobody
and
does.
In the communist bloc countries.
You know, our show,
Radio Bulgaria.
Our show is played all over the world, and last time I checked, we were in Vietnam and the Middle East, Dubai, and stuff. So people are listening to us all over. Hey, I got to ask you, Bill Belichick, best coach in the NFL?
Yeah. Did you see their record's still pretty good?
Yeah.
They're playing they lose a game and all hell's breaking loose. They're playing 700 football.
Mm-hmm.
And they got different guys every year.
Except at the quarterback position.
Except the guy that is, the guy has just been unbelievable. I mean, Tom Brady gets new guys every year. He's never always had the stud receivers, and he just gets the job done. And I see where they're right there again, and the East is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely bad. And New England runs it. I mean, what they've done is phenomenal in this day and age.
Mike, the gamblers who are listening in are all starting to shake because they want to get to that part of the show where they hear your picks.
Oh, let me tell you something. I've been jonesing. I've been absolutely jonesing, but I'm ready to go, Aldo. Hey, we got the music rolling. Hey, we're brought to you by, you know what, Aldo, let's talk about the Bet Chicago. And by the way, you can tweet us at North to North or at Bears Bar Room. But don't forget, always tune in to BearsBarRoom.com. Bet Chicago, tell everybody about the contest that we're having this week. That's different than the one last. I mean, I went on a roll. It's not that I'm not only under pressure to perform for the Sun-Times, for the Great Bears Bar Room, but now Bet Chicago. How much heat can one guy take? But now we've done something different, haven't we?
That's right. We have. They've changed things up a little bit, and they want all of our contestants and Mike to pick the over-under on 6 games. Here are the 6 games. Rams at Detroit, Browns at Texans, Cardinals at Packers, Chiefs at Raiders, Vikings at Patriots, Chargers at Steelers. So you pick the over-under on those 6 games, and you must remember to put the code in. The code is BARROOM. We had a couple of winners, or actually more than a couple of winners last week, who forgot to put the code in and therefore aren't going to get the swag from Bet Chicago. So get on over to betchicago.com or bearsbarroom.com. You'll find a link to enter the contest. It's free. You don't have to purchase anything. You don't have to give them a credit card for them to hold. No, none of that. You just put your picks in, and Mike will put his picks in. He's not going to reveal them on this show. What he's going to do is pick against the spread like he does every week and make you some money. So that's the Bet Chicago contest. Get on over to betchicago.com or Bears Barroom.
I'm going to do over and unders, and I'm not very good at those, so you guys got a chance to cash. I'm more of a sides guy. You know what I'm saying? Not the total, sides. But that's what Bet Chicago wants. They better have a lot of swag because, you know what? Maybe they've come in, maybe I get better. Maybe this helps me. But you can win a lot of swag going up against me. Now, let's go to the games, ladies and gentlemen. The Falcons -1 versus the Ravens, Aldo. Falcons -1 against the Ravens. Now, the Falcons are, I don't believe in them every week. But they're playing the Ravens, and I'm looking at the Ravens, and I don't believe in them. But then I look at the spread. I see it's only 1. They opened, listen to this, the Falcons opened as 3-point dogs, and now they're favored by 1. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to take the Ravens in this game because I don't know if they're playing with the line. I don't know what's going on. I don't think the public is just betting one way on this game. So I'm going to take the Ravens as one of our Bears Barroom picks.
Well,
Capiche?
and I'm looking at my Chicago Sun-Times right now. The other 2 guys have the Falcons. Interesting.
It's you going out and buying the bright one. Look at you.
I got my digital subscription. I love it.
Yeah, it's all good because, as you can see, the competition is intense, fierce, and crazy. So that's what we're doing. Now, my next game, Broncos -5 at the Bengals. Now, I hate the Bengals this year. I mean, and I heard Tom Brenneman, and now I'm hearing out of Cincinnati. I want everybody to just stop and just think about this. If you're a Bengals fan, do you really want to hear that Hugh Jackson may be your next head coach? That's what we're hearing out of Cincinnati. The worst head coach in history. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
My God. So, I mean, I don't know what it is, but, you know, when I see that, and then I see that the Broncos have been performing, they performed pretty well last week, but I see the Broncos are -5 at Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's been taking a lot of abuse. I made them my main pick this week. I think they finally wake up, shut people down a little bit, because they're hearing it. They're hearing it in Cincinnati, and it's a small town. So I got the Bengals as my main pick and my top pick for Bears Barroom. So Ravens and Bengals. Now, this game I'm a little worried about because, once again, with the system that I play, it's called you pick who the system tells you to pick, not who Mike North likes, not because of the color of the uniforms, not because of the city they live in, not because of the climate. And when I look at this game, and I see that it grades highly, it's Dolphins -4 versus the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, I mean, I think that Buffalo got off to a weird start. Their quarterback situation was screwed up from the beginning. Are they recovering? Yeah, and Buffalo is capable of winning this game. System tells me this is one of the top 4 games I should pick this week. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins, Adam Gase. But you know what? Do light on this one. Do it light. I just feel bad, suspicious. But when I do feel suspicious, you usually win. So, you know what? Go light, though. That's what I would say. So the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Dolphins. You got that so far, handsome?
Got them. I'm looking right at them at ChicagoSunTimes.com.
When was the last time somebody called you handsome besides me?
You're the only one that's done in the last 30 years.
Oh, my God. That's a dry spell. Okay, here we go. Give the guy a drink of water. Steelers -3.5 versus the Chargers. I've been predicting every single year the demise of Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers. And every single year, they've made me happy. Okay? For doing what I've asked them to do. Mm-hmm. I'm taking San Diego. I think the problem now is with Pittsburgh. We saw this. Ben Roethlisberger firing on his offense this week after the game, naming names. And they're all young guys. You got to catch this ball. You're blaming other people when last week he says, well, the receiver should have cut across. You don't throw the ball to the middle of the end zone from the 5-yard line. And that's what Ben did, threw an interception, and started blaming everybody else. Sounded a little bit like Aaron Rodgers. So I'm predicting the Chargers to knock off the Steelers. I think the Steelers' season starts to unwind. I think finally, too much nonsense in that locker room, especially with the free agent hassles, you know, and Le'Veon Bell and the whole nonsense. I think it finally hits the fan. I think Ben got frustrated, and he should have kept it in the locker room. So I got the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Bengals, and the Ravens. You like? Just say you hate them. Because last week you said you loved everything, and we went 1-3.
Hey, Mike, I was just going to say the same thing. I hate these
you want to vomit? You feel like vomiting after seeing these picks, don't you?
I'm sick to my stomach. I'm sick to my stomach.
You want to stand in front of a train after you saw the nonsensical picks I've made. We'll probably go 3-1 now. Just don't say anything positive. Please, dear Lord on high, may I just bow? I'll kneel with Vic Fangio. Vic wants prayers for Odell Beckham. I want prayers that Aldo doesn't say, wow, for my picks or anything, okay?
You got it. You got it.
Nomine Padre, nomine Padre. I'm going to have to get the Boogie Priest. Here we go. Okay. You got the music?
Yep, here it is.
There it is.
Ah!
Yeah, okay, that's enough. I'll tell you, YouTube works wonders.
Hey, Mike, I got to tell you something. We got a record number of people in the chat room. I think the fire chief is going to come in here and throw some people out. Welcome, everybody who is listening on Mixlr.com live. You are all listening to Mike North make his picks, and he's given us his top 4 picks. Let's go over those once again. It's the Ravens, the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Chargers. Those are the ones you should put your money on.
All AFC this week. All AFC.
I love it. I love it. All right,
Yeah.
Mike, go right ahead.
All right, here we go. And this is brought to you by the good folks. Listen to this. Does it make sense that an industry where it is easiest to cause accidents is also the hardest from which to get fair compensation? Well, it's true. And the very nature of the trucking industry breeds negligence that we will not stand for, and that doesn't exist with normal vehicles. Semi-trucks have larger blind spots. They make wider turns. They're 10 times heavier than the average car and can take 40% more time to stop. Semi-truck drivers work under time constraints. They drive long hours, fatigue, everything else that we're talking about. If you're in a semi-truck accident, you need a law firm that has the experience. For all the truck drivers out there, and there's millions of them. If you take I-90, you'll see them all. Resources to fight for you. For the past 55 years, the Verdoliak Law Group has been fighting for people who were seriously injured as a result of trucking negligence. Call the Verdoliak Law Firm at 844-4VLG-LAW. 844-4VLG-LAW. All right, my friend?
Excellent. And if people forget the number or forget the website, just head over to bearsbarroom.com. They're on the front page there. Go right ahead, Mike.
Absolutely, my friend. And here's what we got now. Okay, now we got a record number of people in the bar room. And I know some of them are screaming, let's get the picks going. We gave you 4 major picks, okay? But when you're like Presley, when you're the Elvis Presley of odds makers, the Babe Ruth, the Jordan, you make the audience wait a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So, the Aldo Gandia of writing, that's what I'm talking about. Nobody knows Aldo's a great writer. Right, Aldo?
Because nobody reads my stuff.
I read it. Okay, here we go. They read your stuff. You're trying to be too nice. Here we go. Rams -10 at the Lions. Are the Lions ever going to stand up? Matthew Stafford is the new Jay Cutler. They're getting 10 at home. They're getting 10 at home against the Rams. They're playing on their carpet. It looks too easy to take the Rams. I'm going to take the Lions. Okay?
I love it.
Once again, they'll probably let me down. Packers minus 14 versus the Cardinals. I'm sorry. Is this the Green Bay Packers from, 2008, 9, 10? Is this the Green Bay Packers from the Bart Starr era? I think Aaron Rodgers, I think everybody's expecting him to play and to win and to come back because they're still supposedly alive for the playoffs. All the ass kissers out there for Green Bay, it gets suffocating after a while. But I'm taking the 14.
Woo!
I don't care where they're playing. But they're playing at Green Bay. I'm taking the Cardinals. Getting 4. I'm winning 14-0. I'll take my chances. I don't see the Green Bay Packers losing, but I don't see them covering. Okay? And just remember this. Last night, everybody thought the Saints were going to win. If you took the money line with the Saints, you bet $400 to win $100. You lost. You lost. That was supposed to be a sure thing last night. If you bet Dallas, you bet $100, you won $292 on every 100. It was supposed to be that bad. So if the money line wasn't played a lot last night, but I'm just telling you, this is the National Football League, and I like 14 points right off the bat. Okay, Panthers minus 3.5 at the Buccaneers. I like the Bucs. I think the Panthers are a team that I'm enthralled with. I like McCaffrey. I thought he should have been a Heisman Trophy winner. I can't understand it. I know Fournette won. But for 2 years, this kid was as good as any back in college football. He's proven himself out. But I just think that the Buccaneers, I think Jameis Winston, after that little scare he had from Fitzpatrick and the nonsense that he's gone through, maybe he's taking football a little more seriously now. They seem to be better. They were a surprise of late. I'm going to take the Buccaneers. Here's my team that always sticks it in my you-know-what. Colts minus 4 at the Jaguars. Bortles is benched. It's easy to jump off the Jaguars now with the new quarterback coming in, isn't it, folks?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what most people would do. That's not what I'm going to do. And when you say, well, Mike, that seems sort of silly, then I say, well, ask me what my record is. You know what I mean? And then the argument's over. Now, I've given you folks the Jaguars before. I'm really not that arrogant, Aldo, but I got to at some point draw the line. You know what I mean? We've been having a good year. I'm going with the Jaguars again, which means I'll be watching the History Channel of great military victories, and there'll be a plane just crashing into the ocean. And that will be me. Okay? All right, here we go. Texans minus 6 versus the Browns. Baker Mayfield's all that. The Texans are all that. I like the Texans, though. I think that, are the Texans going to have the same thing happen to them with a winning streak that happened to New Orleans last night? Maybe. But right now, and Aldo knows this, I'm not the one that makes these picks. The system makes these picks, and the system's been good, but I don't make it as a main pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens, the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Chargers are my main picks, not the Texans, but I'm taking the Texans minus 6. Here's another team that has high hopes. Titans minus 8 versus the Jets. Do the Jets even feel like playing right now? The Titans have an outside chance of getting in, but you can't go by that. Are the Titans good enough to beat the Jets by 8, or are the Jets good enough to cover? I like the Titans. I like Mariota, but Mariota's got to get a little bit tougher. They're too much up and down. Vrabel's learning as the head coach. I still think they have potential, but you know what? This is one I'm taking a chance on. Here's one I'm not taking a chance on. It might be 16 or 17. Once again, I think everybody's going to take the Chiefs minus 14.5 at the Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders. I believe one of the two games that are in the 14s, okay, the one that I took earlier, the Cardinals, or the one that I took now, the Raiders, are going to cover. One of them. I think there's a chance for both of them. But I know this. I'm not giving these teams, and I know the Chiefs are good enough to wipe them out, and they're at Oakland.
Right.
I just know that this is one of the fiercest rivalries in the National Football League that's never talked about. And I just think everybody ups their game. Chiefs win, they win by 10. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
So to be clear, you have the Raiders, but you're saying the Chiefs are going to win by 10, and the spread is 14.5.
There you go. You're starting to get the lingo.
I am. Isn't that cool?
You are. My God. I love it. Okay, here we go, my friends.
Took me 13 weeks.
Seahawks minus 10 versus listen, you're the guy that could have the new driveway paid for, not me. Then you jump in and all of a sudden you're in debt. Seahawks minus 10 versus the 49ers. I just bragged about Russell Wilson. I noticed that that a lot of people like the Seahawks, but I'm staying with the Seahawks. I think the 49ers, boy, I'll tell you what. You know what was the mistake about the 49ers more than anything? Moving. How do you move away from San Francisco?
Yeah.
How do you let them go all the way up to where they at Santa Clara?
Yeah.
They showed that stadium last week, half full. And it's like 100. It's brutal. It just doesn't seem to me a good place to play football, and they have no home field advantage. So I'm going to take the Seahawks in that one. Okay.
Okay.
Patriots minus 5.5 versus the Vikings. I like the coach of the Vikings, but I like the coach of the Patriots and the quarterback of the Patriots better. I'm going to take the Patriots minus 5.5 versus the Minnesota Vikings. Here is a game, and this you want to talk about. In my opinion, the Philadelphia Eagles will go down as one of the worst one-hit wonders of all time. They're rivaling like the Houston Rockets. Last year they won 65 games. The Houston Rockets aren't even going to come close this year. You want to talk about a team that might have been a flash in the pan? It's the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's the way I look at it. But then I see the Redskins sign this guy this week. How desperate are they? The guy, that Reuben Foster, the guy that got in, once again, domestic violence issues and stuff like that. Only one team inquired about him besides the Redskins, and the Redskins decided to go after him. I just think the Washington Redskins are a fraud. The Eagles are a fraud, but I think the Eagles are a team that has the opportunity here with Carson Wentz and with what's going on. It's time for them to have a victory by at least 10 points. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles in that one. And then last night, all three of us took the Saints. I took the Saints as a minor pick, and they lost.
Excellent stuff.
How's that? That was damn good, wasn't it?
I love it.
Did I make sense?
You know what? What should I say? Should I say yes or no? Given my history of jinxing you.
Say maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. We're all set. I'll give all the picks again. My main 4 picks for Bears Barroom: Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Chargers. And then for my other picks, the Giants, the Lions, the Cardinals, the Bucks, the Jaguars, the Texans, the Titans, the Raiders, Seahawks and the Patriots, and the Eagles. Okay?
Okay, but we've got to talk more in depth about why you're picking the Giants plus the 4 over the Bears.
As I alluded to earlier, I have picked against the Bears the last 3 weeks, and they've won and covered every time. That's the reason, number one. I do fear this game a little bit because when it comes to stars, I don't know, have the Bears played 2 guys like Beckham and Barkley and even Manning? As far as the guys in the past? I mean, this is a tricky game. But I still think the Bears could cover, but I took the Giants because every time I take the opposition, the Bears cover. Does that make sense to everybody? I wouldn't bet against my home team. So I'm not going to bet against this game. I'm not going to bet against the Bears. But I have to make a pick. I took the Giants.
Right. Well, it makes sense. And this is a game where the defense should have a dominant day. But
yes,
the one thing that always worries me about this Bears defense is tackling. Sometimes they've had some poor tackling games. We all remember that they went down to Miami, should have won that game, but except for some poor tackling. And Saquon Barkley is a guy that makes people miss. And so if they don't tackle, like Vic Fangio was saying, the key to tackling Saquon Barkley is all 11 guys tackle him. And so that's really, really important.
I think it's also important to note that the Bears have really been playing well as a full football team. And I'll give you an example. I remember the 63 Bears. The 63 Bears, Hallis and the offense against George Allen, the genius defensive guru, and the defense. They didn't even talk to each other. Ed O'Bradovich told me a story. When the Bears defense would stop somebody, the Bears offense would run onto the field. And you know what the Bears defense would say? Just hold them. Not score. Just hold them. In other words, don't screw it up.
That's Bears
and if you look at their scores, they were very close.
Yeah.
But their defense did good things, but they pitted the defense against the offense. If you look at the 2006 Bears, okay? They weren't, I'm sure, fans of the quarterback we had, Grossman. The offense was considered weak. The defense was considered the stars. It's the way that was.
Right.
You look at the 85 Bears, the same thing, even though you had guys like Peyton. It was a more balanced team than McMichael, but the stars were the defense.
Yep.
Here I see a team where we just heard Coward, and I think if you ask anybody on offense or defense about Mitch Trubisky and the offense, they'd be glowingly very, very complimentary, don't you?
Absolutely.
And that's what's different from this team compared to other very good Bear teams of the past. They've always had separate teams within one team. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Separate, even the bad Bears. Buffon used to tell me, the 1-13 team, it was offense against defense. They didn't like each other. And I see a full 3 units here that have all done well this year. And by the way, congratulations, Eddie Jackson. I saw something on Twitter. Mike Francesa thinks the Bears' defense is overrated, and that Khalil Mack's the only guy he really knows about. Well, hopefully he found out that Eddie Jackson was a defensive player of the month after being named the defensive player of the week. So the Bears' defense is on all cylinders. And by the way, let me just say this. It's amazing how I just keep chattering, right? Just killing it. It's almost like playing Don't Be Cruel by Elvis so many time and time again. It's a damn good song, and you don't get tired of it. But I'm going to tell everybody this. The Chicago Bears, to me, I expect them to win every game now. I expected them to lose most of their games the first half of the season, but if they were a flash in the pan, it would have happened by now.
Yeah.
It would have happened by now. It looks to me like the flash in the pans might be the other teams in the division. Teams that were expected to do better. Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota.
You think Green Bay is going to make the playoffs, Mike?
Nope.
Oh, that's
I think they're a mirage. I think they're a mirage. And you know what? Look, I've always respected the Packers. But I think they're a mirage. I think that they don't have the playmakers they once had. I think that there's some teams. Look, Aaron Rodgers has been, I'll give him this. He's been good enough to keep them in the playoffs, and that's hurt their draft status. I mean, they're hanging in there for a team that really doesn't have a lot of, benefit of the doubt as far as draft picks and everything else. It's going to catch up to you if you get middle round picks instead of the number 1 pick. Sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you.
Do you think the Detroit Lions will ever, in the history of the world, win a Super Bowl?
Man, I'm telling you. 3 years ago, I thought they were going to, but they've gone the way of the car company GM. I mean, my God. That's a
Mexico?
fact. The Detroit Lions while they're closing 5 factories, that's a factory that could be closed down, the Detroit Lions. Hell, move somewhere else. Move to Dearborn. Move somewhere else. I don't know what you got to do. Find another place in the state. But really, I mean, it's been a bad year for GM and for the Detroit Lions. If you're a Detroit fan, a Detroit Lion fan, you cannot believe the end is near. Look at the Cleveland Browns, how it's turned around for them. And, what's scary is, Hugh Jackson and Mayfield didn't get along. It's not that they didn't try to win. And Mayfield is mad at Jackson for taking that job. And, because he's in the same division. I had nothing against the kid for saying that. I understand why Jackson's got to work. But if you're the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, screw you, Hugh Jackson. You used to be with us. You went to the enemy.
I love it. Now, the last NFC...
I'm mean-spirited sometimes. I shouldn't be that way during the Christmas season. You know? But what am I going to do? It's the way I was born, I guess. I can't help it. I do.
All that Catholic school training, right?
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
Hey, I went to Catholic school for a few years. Did the nuns ever hit you?
Yeah.
I was hit all the time. I didn't do anything wrong. They hit me in the head.
My God. The Catholic school. I mean, that's a place where you can get hit by women and not pay for it.
Oh, my gosh.
Of course, it does tuition matter.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
That's why I only won a few years.
Okay.
Now,
we used to have a nun, Sister Mary Frances Reed. She'd come in normal. She might as well have been wearing boxing gloves. She was in the position. She was in the boxing position.
I had a nun that would just walk around carrying a ruler,
Listen,
the
our
entire
nuns were
day.
Blessed Virgin Marys, the BVMs. Mm-hmm. We used to call them the black-veiled monsters.
All right, I got to ask you about the Minnesota Vikings.
I can't go out anymore. I just went back to my childhood, and I'm having trouble coping.
I know.
Is there a therapy dog available? Oh, hi, Lucky. Never mind. I'm ready to go. My dog just walked in. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now, the Vikings have been too
Lucky says hi, by the way.
Hey,
he
Lucky.
Says, don't be a stranger.
Oh, he's a cute dog, man.
He's a good boy, isn't he?
Very, very good dog.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He likes Aldo.
So the Vikings have been to, 5 Super Bowls? You think they will ever win a Super Bowl?
Have they been to 5 or to 4?
Is it 4? Yeah, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Somebody in the chat room will...
I'm trying to remember. I know they had 4. Did they go another time? I know the Tarkenton years, the Joe Cap years. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with 4 and be stupid. Maybe I had some timers. Maybe I'm having a little tough. I'm usually pretty good on this stuff, but No. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
No, I think.
Can you look it up so we don't look stupid?
All right.
Of course, this ain't Vikings bar room, right?
That's
right. So we can be wrong.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay.
So, do you think that?
Whatever. How many they've been to? They've never won.
Let me see. I am doing some research. You tell me if you think they will ever win a Super Bowl while I do a little research here.
Yeah, they'll win a Super Bowl sooner or later, maybe 10 years down the line. Look, they went out and got Cousins. They spent some money. I admire him for that. He got out of Washington. I think it was a good thing for him. They basically have a decent team. They got Diggs. They got Thielen at receiver. Their defense has not performed like I think they wanted them to, though.
Okay, Ben in the chat room has come in with the definitive answer for Super Bowls.
That's what I do, Aldo. Stay in your lane, will you please, for God's sake.
I will. When it comes down to anything having to do with remembering stuff, I'm really, really bad at it. All right.
Well, no, I'll give you another thing. Who would have thought Adrian Peterson would still be effective? Now, he's got a shoulder problem right now. Mm-hmm. See, folks, this is stuff I do my homework. He's got a shoulder problem, and that's been one of the problems, too, in Washington. I mean, I don't know how long he can hold up, and that was the thing. But he's done pretty well for a guy that's 32, 33 years old, that a few years ago, speaking of nuns, was doing the same thing to his own kid, and whose career looked like it was in a little bit of jeopardy, So I really think, and here's another thing I'll say about the NFL. Last year, I hardly watched it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to give the reasons. I just think a lot of people got tired of it. I will tell you this: I think they got to adjust the offensive rules a little bit to help the NFL as a whole. I loved last night's game, but I'll also say this: they've had a great year, the NFL. They've had a decent year. I've enjoyed watching all the games. I think they've been competitive. Does it help that I've done good at the window? Yeah. I've made a good amount of money. I hope I have for our listeners, too. But I think, last year, as critical as I was of the NFL, which I was disenchanted with a few things. I'm sick of Goodell. I'll be straight up. I was disenchanted with Goodell. I don't like him for what he did to Brady with the deflate gate. I thought that was nonsensical. Mm-hmm. I was disenchanted. Look, I see Ray Rice never playing football again, right? Mm-hmm. Because they had the video. Mm-hmm. But this guy has 3 arrests in 1 year, and he's playing. Yeah. So I have an issue with that still. I understand there's issues, but to be picked up that quickly, I know he's going to be suspended. I think that's a problem. I'm not going to lie. I was bothered by the anthem thing. I'm a veteran. I have certain beliefs, and I was instilled to me by my family. I don't bequeath anybody else, but it bothered me the way the NFL handled it. I think Aldo and I could be on different. I think we can agree on one thing politically, that both sides sometimes could do a better job at things.
Absolutely.
And I don't see that on both sides sometimes.
Absolutely.
I see slow reaction. I see guys that are afraid to do things. I think the commissioner, because of political correctness, and I think that was an issue, and I think they've straightened that little issue out. And I think it's better now for it. I think the NFL's better that issue's off the table, don't you?
I agree. And,
Yeah.
I agree that the NFL has had a good year. There's been a lot of entertaining football. Now, they've got some problems. They got to fix the officiating issue. There's some other issues with the league.
The replay thing has gotten to the point where they're replaying everything, for God's sake. And that wasn't the intent,
and still
right?
get it wrong. It's the funny thing, and I'm always on my soapbox saying the NFL should pay for their own cameras to do their own officiating and not rely on the TV networks who are trying to entertain fans and not officiate. So that's my soapbox. But I'm with you. This has been a fun NFL season.
And it's not even the Bears. Even if the Bears weren't doing as well, folks, I still love the way the NFL is right now.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed watching the Bears, there's no doubt. But I watch all the games. Look, I'm critical. Look, I'm known to be critical, a glass half empty guy, but I'm a glass half full guy. The Chiefs story has been huge. There's no question that Andy Reid, and the Chiefs with Mahomes has been huge. You have how about this? How about Andrew Luck? I said a week ago, you got to look at him as MVP material. Where would the Colts be? And where were they without him? That's a good story.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots, once again, always a big story. The Chargers, a good story. But there's no bigger story than Bears. They're the number one. They're one of the top franchises in all of sports.
Yep.
And you got this team doing what they're doing.
Yep. I love it. Now, Mike, before we say goodbye,
Yep.
Mike,
Try to stay riveted. Yep. I mean, can you please? Yeah, that's a good idea. Anything.
I sound like one of the Three Stooges, right?
We are the Two Stooges, aren't we? I love those men. I love them.
Oh my gosh, the best. Now
they're doing. My niece, I had my niece and nephew watch with me. They laughed their asses off. They're like my little nephew Marco. He's like 5 years old, and he watches the Three Stooges with me because I'm trying to teach the kids the right things in life. You can't go through life as a kid without the Three Stooges.
Oh my gosh!
And they laughed their asses off. And these things were made in the 30s. That's what's unbelievable.
Yep, that's when you know it's classic, when it endures for generation after generation after generation. Now, your good buddy Mike Ditka suffered a heart attack. I wanted to know from you if you've heard anything, any updates on Mike that you can share with us.
Yeah, they've been pretty quiet. Steve Mandel is his agent. Steve just put out an issue. It was a minor heart attack. He'll be out in a couple days. Now, I have not heard or seen whether he got out or not. Maybe that's none of our business. And, they said he was going to be all right. I made a joke on Twitter about him. There was a lot of people joking about Twitter. I guess what happened was, they showed the Super Bowl shuffle to him. And he perked up in his bed and lit a cigar and started calling the whole hospital staff gang. And that's when they knew that he was feeling better. But he's fine. I think he's 79, and he, talk about being brutal on the body. One of the sharpest men I ever met, and a no-nonsense guy. And we wish him nothing but the best. But he's doing fine, as Wani would say.
And one of the guys that
and I'm going to L.A. this week.
Oh, tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Me and BB are flying to L.A. I want to keep everybody abreast of what's going on with the Mike North movie. I'm going to be meeting with Adam Rifkin. We're going to be meeting for 3-4 days with the movie people out there. We're going to be discussing locations, how the deal's structured, all the things, the paperwork for the movie deal that we know some stuff of, but Adam's going to be with us, and then how the cast. I think we may have the right guy in mind, and we'll announce that maybe on Bears Barroom next Friday. But I'm going to be out of town from Tuesday. I think I'm coming back. We're going to have to figure something out. What's the 7th, Aldo? You have your pocket calendar in your shirt?
I can call it up on my computer pretty quickly if the computer
because
cooperates.
it's 7 days half September, April, June, and 30 days half September. So today's the last day of November. So 7 days from now is next Friday. I think I'm going to be flying home. So we may have to do something on maybe Saturday, or maybe we'll figure it out in the evening or something like we did for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we could do a Friday night show. That'd be fun.
But I have to go because now it's time to put the deal together.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want to do it sooner rather than later. The screenwriter, Jeremy Morrison, is right now almost is done with the treatment of it. And then we go into the phase of writing the actual screenplay once we have all the I's dotted, the T's crossed, and what have you. And then we find out about investors who we're going to go after. If we have investors, and there will be investors in Chicago we're going to go after, but we're looking forward to the movie. It's going to be a great thing, and we hope to have it up within 2 years. And that's, and by the way, folks, that's quick.
Yes.
Because Adam Rifkin did a movie with Burt Reynolds, the last movie star, that took 10 years to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Once he said it was Burt Reynolds that didn't want to do it. See, if you're going to do a biographical movie about somebody, they got to be willing. And he wasn't willing right away.
It would
and
happen.
I'm willing. And I want to get the story out because there's a lot of good stuff that happened that I was never. Well, you'll find out about the movie. It's going to be, in my opinion, make Private Parts look like a kindergarten movie.
Oh,
that's my opinion.
That Private Parts is the Howard Stern
movie.
movie.
And that's no disrespect to Private Parts.
No, it's an entertaining movie. The Howard Stern movie.
But Howard was mostly in radio stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And wait, Howard Stern, I love.
Mm-hmm.
I respect. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. He's done so much.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the king of all media.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell him this. If I'm sleeping, I know more sports than Howard does, so I don't know about all media. But I will give him his respect. He is the king. There's no question. But we hope to do a little bit tougher, a little bit edgier than Private Parts, which was very good. And set the template.
I love to hear that because that was my number one criticism of the movie that I walked out of.
What?
Yeah, the Private Parts movie, I thought it was just so watered down. I was like, that's not really Howard's life. He had an edgier life, and I know, and having talked to you, that you've got a lot of interesting stories, and so I'm glad that some of those are going to be shared on the big screen.
Well, you know what? I mean, look, if you're going to, there's certain things I'm sure Howard didn't want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody has that in their autobiographical past.
Mm-hmm.
But you try to tell the most honest one. The most honest appraisal I've ever seen was Raging Bull.
Mm.
That's the most honest autobiography I have ever seen in my life.
Yes.
I'm a degenerate, and we're going to show you why for 2 hours. You know what I mean?
I'm going to smack my wife around, and that's the way it really happened.
I'm going to throw the kids in the pool. I'm going to beat up my brother.
Exactly. I'm going to accuse my brother of having sex with my wife. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to fix a fight.
Yes.
I'm going to be accused of being with underage women. Oh my God. I mean, really, that's the guy. You know who that was the guy. I interviewed Jake LaMotta.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy who basically wrote a biography when almost everybody else was dead. You know what I mean? He was like in his 70s, you know?
Yeah, right. That's true.
So it's going to be interesting. We're looking forward to it. We're going to be in L.A. for 4 days. I've been on a diet, although it's not easy, but I've dropped some weight because I might meet the guy that's playing me out there. I want him to get an idea, But you always got old pictures and everything else. There's much more research now than there ever was before. But I love Adam Rifkin. We're going to be meeting up with him. It's going to be fun. Now, I'm going to try, as we go along, I'm going to give the listeners and in social media more of an inside look than most people give us. I mean, to me, the fascination of making a movie is still to me unbelievable. That's why I like TCM, because they were making movies and making dreams when they had no special effects and stuff. Right. It was just unbelievable. So it's going to be fun.
Mike, the other night I watched The Killing on Turner Classic Movies.
With my guy, the guy that played McCluskey in The Godfather.
Yes, Sterling Hayden. Yes. I love that movie.
You can't believe that I pulled this crap out of my rear end, can you?
That's impressive.
I give you the actor right up. Look, Sterling Hayden, for everybody for the younger generation, if you watch The Godfather, he was the police chief.
Right.
He was blacklisted for a long time. He was supposed to be a huge star. Howard Hughes was supposed to make him. He was RKO. It didn't pan out like he wanted, but he still had a pretty damn good career. One of the best film noir guys of all time.
Yes, indeed. And
great movie.
Known to partake on the marijuana and a lot of extracurricular activities and so forth. It hurt his career. Well, you know what? Gloria Graham.
Yeah. Here. Gloria Graham, I want everybody to look at who I'm talking about on Wikipedia. Because there's a movie out, I think it's called Movie Stars Don't Live in Liverpool. It's about Gloria Graham, who was in It's a Wonderful Life, all these movies, and she got cancer, and her career was on the downside, and she moved to Liverpool and was doing plays, and she ended up coming home eventually, but she got sick in Liverpool. But I want you to look her up, and then take a look at Annette Bening, who played her in the movie. Annette Bening and Gloria Graham look exactly alike. And me and my wife watched it the other night, the bio of her. And if you haven't seen it, folks, it's a little draggy at times, and it's a woman who gets sick, who ends up living with a younger man in England, in Liverpool, but she looks exactly like Gloria Graham.
Gotta check that one out.
How much you learned from me? It's almost like going to a university, isn't it?
It is. Professor Mike North.
Streetwise University.
I love it. Hey, Greg Brax Jr. says that there should be a scene in the movie. Hopefully the movie is shot in Chicago, but there should be a scene in the movie where there's a line outside your hot dog stand, and all the extras in that line are barflies. I love it.
Well, we're going to have extras, and we're going to do that. In fact, I mean, look. They have what we do is we hire somebody to do location work. You hire somebody to do casting. But for extras, you put out a call. If it's done in Chicago, it's going to be, of course, it's going to be a big deal for everybody.
Oh, my gosh. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm looking for, you know what? Here's what I do know. I'm meeting with one of the top directors in Hollywood. So far, mission accomplished.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. He's read about me. He gets it. He's from Chicago originally. So he understands.
Right. And good luck with the script, because it all begins there. You got to have that great script, but you've got the great story.
And try to fit it into a smaller time frame.
Right. That's the way to do it.
But you know what? I almost considered a documentary type of thing. But we don't know about that. We'll see.
That'll be the sequel.
It depends how much money you raise, too.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
all right.
Yeah, I know you got $15,000 in the bank that you can throw my way.
Oh, absolutely.
Associate producer Aldo Gandia. Just think about it. I'm just trying my pitch.
I love
Just think about it on the silver screen. That's what they used to do.
That's right. That's right.
And you know what? They still do.
Yeah. Well, you see.
But I see so many bad movies. You know what my biggest fear is?
What is?
A bad movie.
Oh. Absolutely.
Do I want to go to HBO down the line and look up the Mike North bio that nobody else is watching? Because I'll guarantee you this. I have all the movie channels, and out of the 30 movie channels I have, I'll go down the line. There's 20 movies I won't even turn on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't watch every movie made.
Right.
We watch what's going to interest us. So hopefully this will interest us. I want 5 big scenes where people are going to, like The Hangover, which is one of the great movies, because you'll stop at certain scenes because you know something's coming up.
Oh, yes. But I got to tell you this, HBO, Netflix, and a couple of the other movie channels, they occasionally will produce some outstanding material. And so if your movie ends up
I'm in for the HBO thing. I'd even be in for 30-30 if we weren't doing this. But I'll tell you this, Netflix, I'm not keen on, but I do know this. Jeremy Morrison, the screenwriter, has done work already for Netflix. So I guess it's a big thing, but not as big as TV. And you know what? If you got a chance to be in movie theaters, you got to go.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. But I mean, if HBO wanted to throw money at the project, I mean, they shop the screenplay around. And if HBO said, here, I think the guy that used to do it, Ross Greenberg, for HBO, I think he'd be a guy to be interested.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right,
we'll
Mike
see.
North, it is time for us to bid adieu.
Yes, baby. I love you, Aldo. I love the Bears Burrow Room. Love everybody. Love Verdolia Claw Group, Bet Chicago, and, of course, Kick Splits. Thanks, everybody.
All
so
right,
long,
Mike.
Aldo.
Bye-bye.